Colin, we should start.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on consumer insights for business in the new world. Over the last few days, we have witnessed several sessions on manufacturing, design, retail, policy, compliance, and supply chain. The stakeholder that would drive the demand for all businesses around the world post COVID-19 is the consumer. That is why it is important to touch upon this new changed and transformed consumer and share the learnings on how this pandemic will permanently change behavior, attitudes, and expectations globally in the context of diamonds, gold, and platinum. I take this opportunity to welcome our distinguished speakers and panelists for today. Firstly, we have Sachin Jain, who is passionate about the art of marketing and believes that diamonds will always be on top of the consumer's mind no matter what. President at Forevermark, Sachin effortlessly juggles between multiple responsibilities while spearheading the business affairs of the brand. He leads the growth and formation of Forevermark in the Indian subcontinent, including all parts of India, Middle East, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. The marketing guru, if I may say so, and today his look also is that of a guru, ensures that India's appetite for diamonds will never diminish. Vaishali Banerjee, Managing Director, Platinum Guild India, is clearly a rule breaker. She wrote a narrative for Indians whose legendary love for gold is only too well known. Today, platinum has become an obvious choice for most Indians to celebrate bonds between couples and the family. She herself is a brand ambassador for platinum, and you will never see her without any platinum jewelry. I'm sure she's wearing even 5 pieces of platinum jewelry today. Somasundaram PR joined the World Gold Council in 2013 and as managing director is responsible for leading the World Gold Council's activities around the Indian gold market. He's a chartered accountant and cost accountant by profession. So that's like a double degree in this industry of ours. I'm sure very few people have that. And as he is fondly called, has a vast experience of over 30 years across diverse industries, including the FMCG and banking sector. Som used to be the CEO of Lakshmi Vilas Bank, MD of the Standard Chartered Securities arm, and has headed several divisions in Hindustan Lever. As head of WGC, Som believes that post-COVID, we will all have to reach out to a brand new breed of consumer who will increasingly see gold as one of the safest havens for investment. Shekhar Banerjee is the Chief Client Officer, West at Wavemaker India. Shekhar has been part of the key leadership team at Wavemaker India since 2018. He has worked across many leading brands such as Vodafone, Marico, Godrej, Asian Paints, Coke, McDonald's, and is a postgraduate from MICA. Soumya Mohanty is the Chief Client Officer, South Asia, Insights Division, Kantar. She brings with her over half a decade of experience in market research and consumer behavior across sectors. Soumya also has a keen interest in the application of translating analytics and using multi-source data for compelling business decisions. So with this very esteemed panel that we have today, we are trying to give in the next 1 hour insight into how the consumer has changed post-COVID globally and in India and what impact this will have on our business. So over to you, Soumya, now for your presentation.
Thank you, Colin. And what I'm going to do over the next 15 minutes or so is share my, just give me a moment, and what are the shifts that are happening in consumer attitudes and behaviors, and therefore how do we plan for growth in these uncertain times? And the future is obviously uncertain, right? We don't know when will growth recover, and we don't know whether it will happen again. If we see from the standpoint of any business, and particularly the business that that all of you are in, which is luxury or discretionary products, if I may say so, there are three big questions that are in front of us. One is, how will people allocate monies? How will people shop? And how do we build trust in an uncertain world? So these are the three questions that I will try through data to provide some directions for. The data that I'm going to show here is data that we have been collecting for some time now, before the start of lockdown. And till now, we have done about 3 rounds of collection of information on how consumers are feeling about COVID and about what they want to buy, what they don't want to buy, and how they see the future. We have been doing this in about 60 odd countries. And if we start with the first question, which is around how are they going to allocate monies? The first point is, are they going to have the money to allocate? In contrast to the West, Asia is more optimistic about economic recovery, and this is consumer sentiment. So to that extent, this doesn't really reflect the reality of what they may have to spend versus what they want to do. But in general, Asia is more optimistic than Western Europe. And within Asia, there are countries that are more optimistic than India. I must say, when we started this, which was pre-lockdown, the optimism was higher. And in about 2 odd weeks, it has actually declined. And the concerns around financial security have actually grown. So here you see a gray bar and a blue bar. So the blue bar is actually the one that was done after the lockdown, and the gray was just before the lockdown. And the blue has clearly increased across job security, financial preparedness, and the view that there is going to be economic recession. And it's more so among the older working population. So as it extends further, we'll have to see how this progresses. And in line with that, what the customer is saying is that I'm more likely to save. It's intuitive, but the numbers are quite large. So 46% are actually saying they are likely to save more. And the ones who are really worried about job security are even more likely to say that they will save more. So while optimism is higher than West, it is declining. And concerns about job, concerns about whether I will have adequate money are increasing, and especially so among those who actually spend that money. So in this context, what is likely to happen is the shape of demand is likely to shift. There are 3 categories that you see here. One is the category which we are calling value decline. These are categories of services and products where the customer is saying that in future, I am either going to delay buying it or I'm going to spend less on it. And a lot of stuff is here, flying, holidays, all high-end discretionary purchases pretty much make it here. The second category is where they are saying, I will spend the same. So I'm not going to drop my spends. I will remain in the same zone. And what comes here, and interestingly, they are able to differentiate between home furniture and home furnishing. So the higher ticket item is in the decline zone, while the lower ticket furnishing comes into the I'll maintain my spends. What is important is investment products are where they are seeing themselves maintaining their spend. So financial protection products, financial investments are sitting here. So is smartphone. The third category, where there are not too many categories right now, is where they are saying they will spend more. And these are the roti, kapda, makan, food essentials, health spending, and of course, hygiene, which has sort of gone through the roof right now. And what happens to jewelry? Now, we actually asked them about jewelry and watches. As of the moment, it is more in the spending less in future zone. It's about 2/3 of them are saying I will spend less. This is a sentiment, so it evolves with time. It is right now looking forward. They are not able to see themselves spend more. But what is interesting is when we ask them the same question, but we ask them through the lens of a context. So we don't ask them, will you spend more on jewelry? But we ask them, when you think of your wedding function, or your family's wedding, are you likely to spend? They're actually less likely to say that they will spend less. What this means is building on a context or an occasion strongly could be a game changer, even for discretionary items like jewelry and watches. But not all occasions will remain equally important. Some occasions which are more around gifting, someone else's wedding, birthday, engagement, will go down in the priority order. So maybe at this point in time, it's important to build depth and to own a certain context or an occasion rather than spread yourself thin to try and look for how can I look for opportunities across. If we put this entire thing in a framework, a good framework to use is the Maslow's hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy starts with your basic needs, your physiological needs, the atta dal needs, and then moves on to safety and so on. The last, at the uppermost, is self-actualization. What is happening today is it is the physiological and safety products and categories that are getting prioritized over the self-actualization and esteem products. Now, this does make it difficult for discretionary or luxury items to sort of see a very rosy future. But if we think in terms of portfolio and not in terms of a single category, and we see whether it's possible for us to have offers that span the hierarchy, even within that same high value spend, we could probably recast the category. So lighter jewelry, for example, love and belonging, that could be the first thing that comes back, and so on. Because the fundamental challenge when it comes to whether the consumer, the demand will come back, is how well are you able to, as a category, serenade the consumer? Can you create desire? Because remember, when they come out, if you see that upper end of it, there are a lot of discretionary items vying for the wallet. How do you, how do you stay and how do you make them believe that this is the category for me, is going to be the biggest challenge? And this data is actually saying that middle class in India is middle class because they identify themselves as middle class, not because they earn the money that qualifies them as middle class. So it's how do you create aspiration once again in an economy that is getting used to scarcity is the big question. Coming to shopping, a leapfrog to e-commerce is going to accelerate across categories. This is not new news. This will happen simply because there is no option. So 18% are actually saying they have bought things for the first time online, and a lot of things that they were not buying online, they have started buying online. But the bigger point is, when you ask them what are the kind of things that they will look for when they are shopping, there are three big themes that are emerging. One is value consciousness. The second is seeking comfort in the brands that they normally buy. So 59%, 2/3 are saying I will buy the regular brand. And the third is attention to the origin of the product. So in terms of implication, a customer targeting and retention strategy, CRM strategies, are going to be important, even if you are in an FMCG business. But for a business like yours, probably it's probably easier to build upon this compared to packaged goods. The second implication would be to look for new value models. Can there be subscription-based value models that can be brought into play? And the third would be leveraging the Make in India and the origin advantage that's going to stay for some time. And of course, as retailers, we have examples of what different retailers are doing across the world, from Walmart to Starbucks. They are looking at how do I maintain social distancing, but also how do I spur appointment buying? Because the part that is going to drop is the browse and buy. That will impact apparel, that will impact jewelry, that will impact watches. The question therefore is, how do I plant myself in the customer's mind so that he seeks an appointment to come to my store? And to do that, it starts with how do I create desire upstream. The third part of what I wanted to talk about is how do we build trust in an environment where the customer does not trust his or her neighbor. So the top three priorities that they are saying they expect from brands is to be practical and realistic and help customers in everyday life, to demonstrate that this crisis can be fought, and to be an example and guide the change. These are the three things they are looking for. So where can we play as a brand is what we need to figure out. And how do you build trust in this kind of an environment? There are three big themes. One is to do what you say, which is to be authentic, to be real. The second is to create an open and honest atmosphere, truly show compassion, not for the sake of showing it, but truly be compassionate. And the third is, just be decent. All advertising is looking the same right now. So to a great extent, it looks like there is an attempt to just use the virus to pretty much say the same thing. If we don't have anything to say, it's better not to say. But customers will call out if they feel that we are saying something that's not true and honest. Authenticity is under scrutiny. Richard Branson, and he's asking his staff to go on unpaid leave, got a huge backlash. So let's just say what we can do, or not say anything at all. Because if your customers don't trust you to think and act humanely right now, when this subsides, what will they think about you is a big question. So in India, 47% are actually saying brands should be an example to guide the change. And 63% are saying, two-thirds are saying it should be helpful in my everyday life. Now, helpful in my everyday life is where the packaged kind of categories can play, the FMCG categories can play. But for discretionary categories, higher end categories, it's important for us to show something which they feel that you are the light that is shining on their path at this moment, which seems very dark. And I mean, I thought this is from one of our surveys that we have done. It's a Dutch customer who said that this company says they care about sustainability, but they leave the lights on. So it's just something like that. And in that context, I felt this Tata initiative, I just came to know about it yesterday, was an excellent initiative, because what it does, it tells you that you can place the order, it helps the artisans, and then you can get the delivery later. So there is that element of inclusion, there is that element of I am doing my bit for the society, and there is a practicality to the entire thing as well. Brand Z is a piece that Kantar does regularly, which values brands globally and in India in terms of both their financial valuation as well as their equity. And what we believe, so these are like the stages, in the stages of brand development, there is impact that you can deliver at different stages. Societal tends to be at the highest end of it. And it was always a good thing to have. Its corporate reputation was a good thing to have, no more. It is something that has to become now the core of what you do, because the brands that make positive difference at this time are actually showing the highest growth in brand value in equity terms, may not be in financial terms as yet. So at this point, what we can definitely say with certainty is think portfolio, figure out how you can spread your portfolio, whatever it is. If it's automotive, it's models that get spread around the Maslow's hierarchy. Because goals of self-actualization and esteem are going to get reset. So you'll have to figure out, what you are going to stand for. If you have a portfolio that helps you. The second would be to reimagine the path to purchase, to create digitized experiences so that it's only the fulfillment that's happening at the store. That is going to be the single biggest challenge, because browse and buy is going to decline. The third would be to actually start with your own customers, build loyalty, retain, retarget, and renew them, because you have that database, you know who these people are. So can you think in terms of customer experience rather than customer acquisition, and more subscription-based value models going forward, and prepare yourself for appointment buying. And the final thing I would say is customers are looking for something to trust. They're looking for brands that go beyond what it means for me to what it means for society. So source of origin, local artisanry, and more inclusive work practices. One of the examples that I was talking to IKEA recently, and one of the examples was, what are they doing for the local community of ones who were competition earlier, the carpenters and the local furniture makers. They were competition to IKEA. But today, if they think of them as an ecosystem and do something together, that is probably what the customer is likely to appreciate more. So that's it. I hope I was within time or faster.
Thanks, Soumya. That was very insightful. And I guess a lot of good messages here for our the panel discussion later. So now over to you, Shekhar, for what your presentation on media and how that is going to influence the consumer.
Thank you, Colin. I will request Dolly if you can share the screen, because I'm going to be needing your help to share the presentation.
And Shekhar, I would recommend you speak a little louder, because
I will do that. I will do that. I've been seeing the pop-ups on the below, which says that thoda Hindi mein baat kar sake to acha hoga, and some bit of also being loud. मैं कोशिश करूँगा हिंदी ऐड करने का बीच में, but मेरी हिंदी उतनी अच्छी नहीं है कि I will be able to impress all of you. So yeah, thank you so much. I think Soumya has set up the context very beautifully, and Soumya Soumya is a sister company of within WPP. So we borrow a lot of data. काफी सारा information Kantar से हमारे पास आता है, on which we work. We as Wavemaker हम लोग media plans build करते हैं, and we as Wavemaker working also across 70 countries. So हमारे पास advantage ये है कि we have lot of behavior data also. We are seeing some real time behavior changes that are happening. China में कैसा हो रहा है, US में क्या हो रहा है, Italy में क्या हो रहा है. So we have tried to build in some and do a bit of a forward looking क्या होने वाला है types. And all of us are wondering. If you can go to the next slide. The biggest thing that I want to share is that not everything is doom. Amidst this chaos, there is opportunity also. यहाँ पे opportunity भी है. We are in 2.0. Just think of it. We are flying in a jumbo jet. We are at 35,000 feet. Suddenly हमें मौका मिला है कि we can do the entire refixing of the engine. अपने business को we can relook at it. How do we remodel? We are getting that time that in this race, how do we actually rethink of our business model? That is one thing which is happening very extensively across all categories. Another thing is that we are seeing how the consumers are behaving. The behavior of consumers sitting at home is very different. They're consuming more entertainment. They are more vocal. They are connecting more. Means when have it? I don't know whether in past, but when have, like today we are on this call roughly around 450 people. When have we, as a community, we have come together and talked in such a group? These are big change, societal changes that we are seeing. I will try to be more louder. So there's and another thing which is happening is influencer. I'm sure we are spending a lot of time on TikTok, Instagram, all those kind of platforms. And we are realizing there's a different role altogether this influencers are playing in our lives. So these are a lot of opportunities for all of you to start exploring as we look at this thing. Another thing that I want to add is talk about in the next slide is that this is not the first time the world has faced something like this. In past, हमारे life में हुआ है, मतलब SARS था. There was a disaster of Fukushima that led World War II for that matter long back and MERS. And there is a lot of data which is available. What is these things showing that ये जो fall हो रहा है economy में and the reaction that we are seeing, yes, this is not stable, basically gonna last. There's a recovery path and the recovery path is very strong. Past data जब देखते हैं, it takes roughly 2 months, 3 months after the period and things start normalizing and another 6 months things start stabilizing. ये important है और हमारे लिए especially important है because after the lockdown we are entering a festive period. It is very, very unique to India and we should keep it in mind because with festive period things will change. We will see the spike like the way in South Korea MERS outbreak we saw that. We may end up seeing similar kind of a spike that comes in with Diwali and we should keep that in mind. If you go to the next slide, the burning question that you will have in your mind is therefore practically क्या करना चाहिए, short term में अभी क्या करूँ मैं, how do we go back to the battlefield again and how do we review the plans for the future? मतलब when you look at the next quarter, full year अगर देखते तो क्या करते हैं. So if I go to the next slide, I just want to break it down for you in 3 phases. And those are not red, amber and green. They are basically what I'm saying the phase 1 during the outbreak right now. What we are seeing is a rocky road. People, our responsibility right now is all our customers, whether it is existing or new, how do we put them in at ease, including our employees, including our system, how do we put them at ease. Second phase is about how do we go to the recovery phase. Basically, this is the point where you start steadying your ship. How do we bring back the business, normalcy की तरफ जाते हैं. And then third phase where we start actually accelerating. And acceleration is a very important part in your planning that I will recommend because one thing is for a fact, it will not happen that people will just come back to their own brand just because COVID is over. हमारे काफी सारे habits break down हुए हैं. 21 days is a long time. 21 days में लोगों के अभी 45 days पे हैं. So means 21, which says that 21 days में habits change हो जाते हैं. So it's very important that we realize that people might have very different behavior and therefore demand creation will be a very important part. How do you reach out is a very important part. In that context, I want to share at the same time 10 facts with you. There are 10 facts which we are, and I'm calling it specially facts because some are from the reactions that we have got from researchers and some we are seeing right now happening in other countries. So I've borrowed from those facts. The first fact that I want to talk to you about is normalcy jo hai, after lockdown is not very far. China ka data hai, this is after roughly 14 days into the lockdown. Khatam ho gaya hai, all markets are back into action. First data we looked at is the map data on traffic jam. Google Map jaise dekhte hain, unka jo map hai, we saw the data. The traffic is back. All roads are traffic jammed again. People are on the road. They are driving to their office, coming back to their office. It's a very amazing story that people are going back. They are stepping out, and first signal of prosperance, or in such what I say is that recovery is key. People are out, so that is something we will experience. Second fact I want to talk to you about is a concept that I want to talk to you about: renewed consumerism. Yeah, renewed consumerism means basically is a very interesting one. While a lot of surveys are saying that people will be reluctant of spending, but वैसा behavior में नहीं दिख रहा है. Like for example, China में Louis Vuitton, you know how expensive Louis Vuitton bags can be. Pre-COVID to now, China में खुलने के बाद 14 days कुछ हुआ है. Roughly they are close to 80% of sales of Louis Vuitton pre-COVID. It's a great sign. That means people are indulging. There's a point that Soumya made that people want, which is the second most important after wedding, that people want to treat themselves. There's a moment after this lockdown, people will like to treat themselves, create that opportunity for them, because this optimism after the crisis will result in indulgence. और वो opportunity हमको China में दिख रहा है होते हुए. Third one that I want to talk to you about is in general lockdown में काफी सारे behaviors change हो रहे हैं. I'm sure you would have done online parties with your families in this period. There are date nights that are happening, by the way. Bumble app, there's an app called Bumble on which there's a huge increase in video chats. So there are date nights which are happening. Then there is gaming. Gaming has gone 500% higher and people are gaming together. I'm sure PUBG, I'm sure you would have spent time on playing PUBG. People are playing a lot of basically gaming as a community, even though they are locked down in their own houses. Another is synchronized streaming. This is a new behavior we are seeing. Like for example, all of us in different houses sitting and watching one same movie. And they're thinking there are a lot of apps which are letting you do that. It's called, like for example, there's something called a Netflix party app, where you can actually, as all friends, watch the same movie and chat. Another thing is touchless economy. ये बहुत बड़ा trend which might come and we will experience is that people are not exchanging cash also now. They're happy to do with wallet or plastic. क्योंकि cash लेके वापस जाना पड़ेगा. There's a exchange. So and it has an impact in all our lives. So we have to prepare for this. And how do we design ourselves for touchless economy and also create touchless experiences? Because people may not come face to face, experience it with hand. How do we create similar kind of experience online? Another is hyper local delivery, which may not be very relevant for you, but what is happening is people are talking to not just Swiggy and Danzo, but WhatsApp Pay. They're creating communities through which they're ordering products at home. This is something which is very interesting. Another one, another piece that I think briefly Soumya also talked about is that India is likely to have a very similar recovery as China. Versus America and Europe will have a much bigger problem. So if there are exchange of export and import and your dependency on your business are that, you will have to plan two scenarios, because there will be part of the world which will recover very slowly, and there's a part of the world which is showing all signals which will recover much more faster. Another one, fifth point that I want to talk to you about. Yeah, not fifth one, before that, just I'm adding to the previous point on luxury items that I talked about, which is basically, one is that luxury items, I briefly उसके बारे में बताया भी कि how luxury items are are basically an escape for everyone, and that escape and ability to dream in this period. So ये एक psychological point of view से भी from the consultancies that are coming in, they're suggesting that there will be indulgence in luxury items. And another side of it is very clearly okay. Let's come to the fifth point. Thanks, Dolly. Fifth point that I want to talk to you about is which is very important for your business. हमारे all CEOs and CTOs or chief digital officers or chief technological officers जो companies को change नहीं कर पाए, suddenly COVID is able to do it. What is happening is all big companies or small businesses, even small businesses, are going through a massive digital transformation in this period. This period is where we are able to think and remodel our businesses. I've just pulled out two examples. Louis Vuitton believes in very, very big showrooms and great experiences at the store. It's very famous for the long lines that typically when you when you walk down, you see outside the store. Now they are creating shoppable platforms within chat, WeChat. And some of you would have used WeChat in India. Abhi utna use nahi hota hai. So assume that on WhatsApp, we are able to create a shoppable environment through which people are seeing through the catalog and then choosing and buy. And another example is L'Oreal. L'Oreal is a great business where they have lot of retail strength. They have beauty advisors sitting at all stores, consulting people individually that ye makeup lagana chahiye, aise dress up hona chahiye, ye color use karo, those kind of things. They are suddenly going, and this is something we as Wavemaker created for L'Oreal in 10 days within lockdown, where we created an entire platform where people they are training all their beauty advisors to now go online and talk to their consumers. How do they basically talk to their consumers and consult them online rather than face to face? Similar kind of a discussion we are having right now with another business called Eureka Foods, for example. You know, the people who come down to your home and they fix the water purifier and they also consult how they can go online and start talking. So this is the kind of transformation discussion happening. Another trend that I want to talk to you about is that all
Shekhar, I'll just come in one second. Shekhar, we'll go a little quicker because we're running on time. So
yeah, sorry about it. I think I'm 10 minutes into it.
Yeah.
Okay. As much as I'm 10 minutes into it, and another 3-4 minutes, I'll finish it for sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes. So another basically the trend which we are seeing is all businesses are pivoting towards e-commerce and creating virtual store experiences. India is right on top. If I say is the number 2 in terms of the e-commerce drive. In fact, Amazon has recently announced during COVID that how they will help local shops to actually go and connect with the buyers. Tiffany is one great example how they have in last 2-3 years converted their entire model globally on e-commerce. They have their large stores, but at the same time, they have a huge e-commerce leg now, and it contributes in double digits to their sales now. And another example is the big brands, watch brands like Rolex. We know how expensive is Rolex. They have shoppable ads online now, and and they sell. Next point, 7th one. Thank you. Yes, this Soumya talked about authenticity, and this is one example that I am sharing, which has gone viral in last 15 days, is how Zakir Khan actually narrated a great poetry about Maa ke haath ka khana, and it has gone massively viral. This is a piece of work we as Wavemaker have done for Mother Dairy. To an extent, Ambul also acknowledged Mother Dairy for doing such a great work. But the point is that when you see authentic stories, this has a lot of value. And what basically is a learning for all of us is influencers who are there, the Instagram influencers, not the big TV celebrities now, or the film celebrities. These influencers have started playing a very big role in building opinion. And it's also leading to a social commerce. Wahan se not just they're watching and basically borrowing, but also people are shopping from them. Next one. And coming down to the in general behavior and very close to media, entertainment as such is peaking. People are watching 25% more of TV. There are 12% more people watching TV today. So काफी ज़्यादा मतलब, and at the same time when we look at online, massive increase, roughly 40 to 50% increase now on all digital platforms, whether it is chat, whether it is social networking, news app, gaming, or video on demand. Roughly 40 to 45% increase in entertainment consumption. A huge shift which we are seeing in terms of pure consumption, because people have more time. Ghar pe hai, time extra hai, they are watching more entertainment. Linked to that is the next point, but I borrowed from China. See how it is not staying at that. When this lockdown is over, ये सारा फिर वापस नीचे आ रहा है. लेकिन interesting part is that it's not coming down to the same level. एकदम नीचे नहीं आ रहा है. Still stabilizing at a higher level than the pre-COVID period. So that's which is there. So a lot of things will again come back to the same old pattern, but there will be a new normalcy in that, new level which is there. And linked to that, the last point that I want to make to all of you is that it is still very early to call it, लेकिन some trends बहुत interesting है. Like for example, home cooking still continues to grow. लोग अभी food order पहले से करते रहे या फिर बाहर जाके खाते रहे. Still people are ordering and still cooking at home and eating, and it's continuously growing. Recipe searches have gone skyrocket. And ये मैं after lockdown जैसे China market से बोल रहा हूँ. I'm not taking it from India. Obviously, India has a different trajectory. Another thing is that Ola and Uber as a trend जो था may take a bit of a pause, and people may buy more their own cars. Automobile sales will go up in future because they will not like to share space. Another is AR and VR tech, which might be very important for you also. In terms of creating virtual experiences, they are becoming mainstream rapidly. Another is basically online video, जो अभी बहुत high पे है, वो नीचे आएगा. It will not remain the same level, but it still will be very high. Another is people are right now still very cautious, and it will remain for some good time. Weekend outings nahi rahega for some time. And another thing to note is that people will go to office and come back home. Evening outings are also very, very less. And this will take some time. There's no doubt about it that travel will not flourish for some good time. And in fact, we have learned that how we can do a lot of work without traveling. And thanks to this network and thanks to this technology, we are able to do a lot of things from our home. That's from my side. And I'm just summarizing the last bit, which is in the next slide. We have to weigh a lot of things and plan. This is the period to plan, build scenarios, and prepare for the next the period after the lockdown. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shekhar.
Yes. Thank you, Colin.
Thanks, Shekhar. So very insightful. Soumya and Shekhar, thank you once again for joining us. And over to the panelists now. I know you all have been waiting patiently, and the audience has been, I guess, waiting to hear from you all. So, Dolly, can you put up the first question? Hello. First question, yeah. So, we keep on talking about Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z. I just wanted to take a minute over here that if you look at the baby boomers, they're from the, it's the consumer who was born between 1946 and 1964. I guess most of us belong to Gen X, which is 1965 and 1980, except for you, Sachin.
No, I'm Gen X as well.
And then we have the millennials. So between Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z is, I guess, the consumer in India. So my question was, what would be the impact on the consumer mindset for each of your categories coming out of the COVID-19 crisis? So we'll start with you, Som. What do you think is going to be the impact on gold jewelry, on gold in general, coming out?
I think I like the slide which Shekhar put last time. There will be some changes. We are going through a lot of changes now, but many of them are forced on us. Some of these will stick, some good habits. Like, we will no longer gather for an event and, we can always just get on this kind of a digital mode and do that. So some things will stick, some things we can't wait to get back to our old way of living. I don't think we should forget that. So I like that last chart. We will go back. we are social animals. I don't think we can simply just be distanced from each other. Then what's life about? So in terms of jewelry, therefore, I think there will be lots of changes the way we buy. But if you look at it 3 years from now, okay, we would have added certain consumer conveniences in terms of digital, etc. But I don't think overall it will change. I mean, jewelry buying is a beautiful occasion. It is going to be a family-driven occasion. I don't think we will take that away just to buy clicks and music, etc. That's my take on this. We will see a change, but it will go back to normalcy after a couple of years.
After a couple of years?
Yes.
So we will see a drop in tonnage, consumption.
No, I did not talk about tonnage, because tonnage can always be maintained by other means. I'm sure tonnage is going to be affected this year. There's no need to say that.
Yeah, this year, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's not about the tonnage. It's about the way we buy. And, and as a World Gold Council, we always say tonnage is also not just about the fashion in gold. It's about the gold is the best performing asset class. So many factors come into the buying decision. I'm not going into that. I'm just saying, as a consumer behavior, approaching jewelry stores, etc., we will see normalcy coming back with a couple of good things from current things. Maybe you will give a design and ask them to be ready with the design. You know, those kinds of things will evolve. So we'll see innovation, I would say.
So we'll see innovation, but things will be back to normal on the gold.
Absolutely.
Okay. What do you see, Sachin?
Well, Colin, जैसा आपने बोला कि जो अलग-अलग generation fronts हैं, generation Z, X, whatever you can classify it, कहाँ changes आ रहे हैं? I think मैं आपके audience को और हमारे audience को बोलना चाहूँगा कि 3 जरियों से आप देखिए कहाँ changes आएगा. पहला समय, जैसे आजकल the meaning of time has changed. It's not a weekend, it's not a weekday, it's all similar, it's all jumbled together. हर age bracket उसको differently behave करेगा. एक social, I mean, we as Soma also mentioned, we are social beings, and वो हर age group पे किस तरह से impact करेगा. और तीसरा happiness, खुशी. We've been in the state of constant pandemic, constant negativity. उससे बाहर निकल के किस तरह से we will attract happiness. And दो तीन चीजें change होंगी मेरे हिसाब से. For example, there will be a complete reassessment कि what are things जो real matter करती हैं. And things will be together in terms of security, in terms of happiness, in terms of कि मेरे real friends कौन है, real relationship क्या है. I think that will see a big change. Desire for positivity is going to be common across all age groups. अगर आप देखें जैसे कि IPL cancel हो गया है, Olympic cancel हो गया है. I'm just talking about things that give happiness to us. And हर age group में किस प्रकार से happiness एक importance आएगी, वो एक change बहुत important रहेगा.
Sachin, tell me, you've been at the forefront of diamonds in India. So what would you say is the top reason, say, a consumer bought a diamond in the last couple of years? Is it investment? Is it romance? Is it?
Well, I think the Colin Mira Bola, just to I would have a slightly different point of view than Shekhar, where he said that luxury will be equally impacted, because हमारी industry, be it diamond, be it platinum, be it gold, is certainly not luxury. Gold, of course, is certainly not, but diamond also is not luxury. एक asset class mentality हर एक की है, and with the way हम लोग जब भी बेचते हैं, we stand behind the product on not saying that come and liquidate our product. And we've seen last 2-3 दिन में भी gold का कितना implication था कि भी people will come to liquidate. ऐसा नहीं हुआ. So romance combined with an asset class is the state in India. अगर आप एक family को बोलते हैं कि आप जाके Gucci का या Louis Vuitton का bag खरीदे, एक family feels it's an expense. But when you look at buying jewelry that includes platinum, gold, and diamonds, it's not an expense. It's an asset of the family going on. So I think
do you think this won't change post-corona?
I don't think that'll change. But what will change is the meaningfulness, the permanence. Okay, I should do it now, and less is more will happen. I mean, my point is कि आपका क्या meaningfulness है, आपके लिए क्या किसी के साथ behavior है. All those things evolve, and I think that we'll see a very important change. And no better time than our industry to talk about what we are, these miracles of Mother Nature, जो permanence के reflective है, जो एक symbol के reflective है. We need to really plow on that.
Okay, coming to you, Vaishali, there's a huge difference in the price now between gold and platinum. There's this COVID, which has obviously happened. And based on what Shekhar and Soumya shared with us, what do you think will shift in the consumer's mind in terms of platinum? I mean, you've been, and I guess most of the Indians have been brainwashed into the pure, rare, eternal story of platinum. So what do you think changes or doesn't change?
Colin, you see, our consumer base is millennials and younger. Okay. So there are a few differences, I will say, from what, we've heard is, and this is again a Kantar research itself, that these young ones are actually more optimistic and resilient. And we've seen it time and time again. They bounce back faster. Even now, the large part of them, more than 75%, they're very optimistic. Even now, when we are in the lockdown. So post-COVID, the bounce back of this consumer set is going to be much faster. So you are saying what will change? I think, Sachin has touched upon it. I think, and he's been talking, and I completely agree with him, because what will change is they will want meaning. And we are seeing this across all research, anything, whatever you're reading, is that they want to enrich their lives. They are seeking meaning. This is really important in their lives, and this will determine the choices they make. And there is going to be a celebration, because there is this intense feeling of gratitude post-COVID, because, mindsets are shifting. Currently, we are in a lockdown. When we get out of this lockdown, mindsets will shift. And that is where there is this gratitude and positivity that you come through this kind of a situation and you want to celebrate. You will want to celebrate. You will want to celebrate your relationships, which will become really important to you. Your family or your life, you want to celebrate life. And for us, as an industry, this is just absolutely critical, because jewelry is completely intrinsically connected to these celebrations. And we mustn't forget that. And as Sachin says, it is an asset class, but also it is all about these emotions. We need to be authentic. Very, very important. Because without authenticity and trust, this is now going to be a mandate. It's no longer nice to have. So therefore, the point is that if we can really focus on building these emotions, aspirations, and jewelry is always, where do you find this kind of store of value? You talked about the platinum price. The intrinsic value of the metal remains the same. It is one of the most precious and rare metal. Today it's at a price which is so accessible. So it actually creates inclusivity that Soumya was talking about. What is this inclusivity? So you don't have to become totally exclusive. You can have multiple price points. You can bring people in. So, we have to look at these shifts that are taking place and see how we can make them business ideas, because they're sitting there waiting for us.
Okay, so fair point. So, further to, I think, what all three of you all are saying, that authenticity becomes extremely important. Trust in the brand becomes very important. Now, I guess I'm lucky over here in one way that all three of you all are not retailers. And since all the three of you all aren't retailers, what would you think retailers in India, globally, what do you think they need to do to become more authentic? And let's make it a little more specific. You all know, I guess everybody there is in India. So, and even globally, between the three of you all are in touch with retailers practically all over the world. So when you compare our industry and the retail brand with retailers in other industry, do you think we match up in terms of authenticity? If yes, then that answers the question. And if no, then what do you think the gap is? That what is it that our retailers need to bridge to become more authentic, more trustworthy, more credible? and we don't have to go in the same order. Vaishali, you can start this time.
Okay.
What do you feel? What do you think our brands need to do?
Overall, I'm going to quote a point from Bain study, where they've said ethics is as important as aesthetics. I think this stands so true for our industry. So I think transparency and will be the badge of authenticity. Soumya touched upon it and says, say what you do.
Vaishali, I'll just interrupt you over here, just on transparency, and I'm just being, the advocate over here. Our retail fraternity feels that we are already over-regulated. We have hallmarking, we have a diamond certificate, we have a PGI certificate. Like, what do you mean when you say transparency? How much more transparent can one be in our product?
See, there are certain, yes, we know that there are certifications that have been given, and hallmarking, platinum is there, gold is there, diamonds is there, Forevermark has a mark. So these are tools. So these are tools that are really important. So transparency, and my question to you, therefore, is there an adoption of this right across the industry? Is this what they will wear on their sleeves, literally? Is this something that they will stand behind and invest into? Because that is what transparency is. Authenticity. What you say is what you do. And you say what you do and you do what you say. So, I'm saying in everything that you do, that has to be upfront, and you have to stand behind it. You have to stand behind your product. All of us do. So you have to stand, you have to stand for the quality, experience, your brand per se, and behavior. See, a brand, and all our retail, everybody's a brand. How brands will conduct themselves will be important to these consumers.
Okay.
Right?
Sachin, what do you feel?
Colin, I will answer this question in a slightly more manner which is right now. मैं बहुत philosophical long term नहीं बोलूँगा, मैं बोलूँगा जो अभी करना चाहिए. आप जब बोलते हैं आप authentic हैं, पूरी जिंदगी आपने generations के में बोला कि भी, I'm standing there. आज समय खड़े होने का है. Behind your consumers, behind your product, behind your employees, behind your कारीगर्स. So मेरा एक ही advice होगा सारे ज्वेलर्स को कि अगर कई generation से customer ने आपके यहाँ से खरीदा है, तो there been a lot of discussions over the last 5 weeks that I've been hearing कि भाई return लेंगे नहीं लेंगे, conversation करेंगे नहीं करेंगे. I mean, there been a lot of discussions. Should we stand behind people? I think this is the time to stand. कि आपके जवान की फर्क है. I mean, the word that you stand for is now. When we say we are one industry and we're doing good for the industry, this is the time to stand for the carriers of the industry. And I know, and I can be candid with you also, Colin, because, the fact is that at times there's a lot of arm twisting we do in our industry. If I'm a bigger guy or a smaller guy, this is the time to be putting yourself in the shoes of your supplier and other people, so that, in the long run, you will build so much of reputation and so much of credibility that the entire industry will filter out who the right people are, who are not.
So keeping your word would be your...
Totally.
So what do you say to this?
Colin, our biggest issue so far has been to be able to categorize our consumers. Yes, we have seen when Tanishq came and promised, purity, and many of these big chains have now entirely operate on the basis of integrity and all that stuff. You do see a lot of people going there. There's no doubt about it. But you also see a lot of others who just don't value all this, right? When you go and look at the way they buy gold, etc., they just want as much gold as possible. Doesn't matter what the jeweler does. In fact, they are very happy the jeweler takes care of all the bureaucracy, somehow gets them a gold without on cash and without a bill. Okay, a great service for the. I think that number is not small. So my thing is, and you said a point that gold, this jewelry and all is over-regulated. Yes, it is regulated, but at the execution level, it doesn't really. You know, we know hallmarking centers, but we know, do we really rely on hallmarking centers? I wouldn't know about the diamond thing, but so I'm not commenting on that. But we have more regulations, but we are less regulated, in my opinion. So having said that, I would say that this is, in my opinion, not going to change dramatically post-COVID. We still will see, we saw what happened with liquor. The moment it opened, you know, people just breached all distancing norms. So that's why I said, when we get back to normalcy, I do believe some good things will stick, but unless coerced, we will still go back to our old ways of dealing. There is a risk, I would say. So unless there is a catalyst now in terms of either a separate kind of regulation, how to do it, etc., we may miss the benefits we could derive from this. I am not.
You're saying we need more regulation?
I would say that better regulation. I wouldn't say more regulation. Better. Less is better sometimes. But execution, enforcement has to be of a different order. Don't forget, people were paying 32,000 rupees for 10 grams of gold. Now they're paying 50,000 rupees. I mean, that's a lot of money. Your incomes haven't gone up that way.
So you're saying better regulation, but is there anything that the jeweler can do himself or herself rather?
Well, as I said, we are all sitting in the retail gold investment principles. We can all come together. We need to speak with one voice and tell the consumer, get this experience. This is trust. Now you ask for what you want. All of us should get together, which is what we are all trying. I mean, a code of conduct, whatever you may call it. We call it retail gold investment principles. Under that, the code of conduct, but rigorously enforced. Rigorously enforced.
So now is the time to come together.
Absolutely.
Now is the time. So further to that, what you said, Som, is and I guess Shekhar and Soumya also touched on it a lot. Is this whole digital landscape and the change which digital has got into all our lives. As you all, I think all three of you all know, and our industry has not been, I guess, the most digital. For a variety of reasons, actually. It's because we've not been able to adopt tech very quickly. Most of the jewelers are, say, my generation or, one generation above, and they've not been able to adopt tech as much as maybe they should have. So the question over here would be that, again, like further to what you said, coming together, and that's where I thought I could pick on what you said over there, is that what is it that the industry, you think, can do to come together on the whole digital, artificial intelligence, this space? Because I guess none of the companies individually have the capacity to do this, because it costs a lot of money. I mean, everyone can do social media. So if you see a little bit of Facebook, Instagram, all that, yes, people can tweet. But if we have to change the whole experience, on how, and so I would ask you this, that if they have to change the experience and have more credibility in the pricing of gold, in how gold can be a good investment, if I can, be candid enough to say that, then what do you think we should do?
You see, these thoughts were there before COVID as well. Let me make that very clear. These are all new generated now. But clearly, we need to just first of all understand that when you say digital, it's not just about the consumer experience. You have to be seen as an industry which has adopted digital in a big way. Okay? Now, you can't say I am digital, but you know what? Carry 100,000 cash, right? 200,000 cash or 500,000 of cash. Just give me coins if possible. That kind of stuff. We just need to see all aspects of our, activities and make sure that it is digital. We still have to, we have problems. Let me tell you, I'm not suggesting here. We even have a problem on gold bar integrity, traceability of gold bars. We have been resisting all the things which probably could have helped us. And we can't say one part of it, which is what the consumer needs, I'll be digital and be considered greatly savvy. My point is you have to look at it holistically. There are lots of technologies out there. You need to give consumer benefit. And, Vaishali talked about transparency and, authenticity. Soumya spoke about it. Now, authenticity comes when I know where my gold is coming from. Now, consumer may not know it now, but then let us provide a digital tracking saying your gold, which you are holding now, comes from Tirupati, thing. I'm just giving an example. Just imagine if I say this jewelry has been made with Tirupati's gold remelted. Great idea. If at all you get a Tirupati gold. I'm just saying.
Okay.
So we need to adopt it holistically, not just look at one piece of a customer interface in the store. That's my point.
Okay. So with keeping, the backdrop of the consumer and the changing consumer, Sachin, what do you think is the next steps in diamonds in the digital landscape?
I think, Colin, I think that as retailers, जो पूरी हमारी industry है, पहले समझे कि डिजिटल में कई प्रकार की चीजें हैं, जैसे ई-कॉमर्स है, सोशल मीडिया आपने मेंशन किया, वेबसाइट, सर्च, ये बहुत अलग-अलग सब्जेक्ट्स हैं. स्टार्ट योर जर्नी देन, फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट. जैसे एक जमाना था कि हम लोगों ने सबने वेबसाइट www.com खोल लिया था, कि just that we don't miss the bus. I think the idea now is that with this forced lockdown, we've been pushed towards technology. जैसे अभी in the previous speakers, Soumya also mentioned, the consumer को एक habit है, हो गई है, it's not going anywhere. It's a permanent state of mind. We need to get ready. So, and there is also this whole concept of, that my website should be phenomenal, but my brand is perhaps not matching. So, ये पूरा omni channel का concept है, जिसमें आपका brand जैसा है, वैसा ही consumer को दिखना चाहिए authentically. The concept of authenticity that even Vaishali mentioned, तो digital space में वो बहुत transparent है. आप प्लीज कंज्यूमर को फूल करने की कोशिश ना करें कि आपका रिटेल कहीं है, आपकी प्राइसिंग कहीं है, आपका डिजाइन कहीं है और आप डिजिटली एक अपने आप को कुछ और दिखा रहे हैं. इट शुड बी एब्सोल्युटली कंसिस्टेंट फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट. एंड सेकेंडली, दिस इज द फ्यूचर वे ऑफ लाइफ. आप इसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट करें. इट इज नॉट ऑप्शनल कि ठीक है जी, मेरा मेन मीडिया में एक्सपेंडिचर होगा या मेरी बिजनेस प्लानिंग में एक्सपेंडिचर होगा जिसमें मैं ऐड दूंगा पेपर में, मगर लेट मी आल्सो डू वन ऐड इन सोशल मीडिया. दैट्स नॉट हाउ इट विल. You have to give proper semblance to digital now because this will become a formal habit. See the front end consumers का है और back end में मैं जो सोम ने mention किया वो मैं completely validate करूँगा. In the sense I support him in the point that tracking and where your product is coming from ये आज की डेट में optional है, मगर अगर आप ये चीज provide करेंगे customer को, this is your cutting edge और ये future में norm होने वाला है. So blockchain technologies are coming in very fast. So front end and back end there's lots to do. Please go and do it. The idea is to move.
Okay. And Vaishali, what do you think will be happening on the platinum front when it comes to digital?
Colin, that
further to what I guess Som and Sachin have said.
Yeah, I think we are talking anyway. Platinum talks to the young audience. They are the core user group of digital thus far, right? But what we've seen now is because of the situation we've been, there is a larger group of people who are now on digital, right? Just because of the situation and the circumstance. Now they are learning, they're getting comfortable with the space, they are feeling safe with the space. So now these behaviors are here to stay. So people, if they were doing, some amount of search before and some evaluation before and getting into the stores for the final, right now they're doing the whole process online. And then fulfillment may be delivered to you. So there are big shifts that have started taking place, and this will only get accelerated going forward. Now, and digital, when you talk digital, there is one part which is digital marketing. And yes, we need to do it because now that, sort of covers the entire spectrum from, giving information to creating desire and demand. Where we were talking about being authentic, give credible information. The consumer is seeking that online. But equally important is how are you going to do delivery? And this will have, as Sachin was mentioning, it's a channel strategy. Omni-channel, is going to happen. Also important, I think, is for our industry is to use this fact that people are moving digital to understand their consumers better. what is the data that we have on our consumers? Do we really know what they like? What are they buying? What they're going to buy in future? Can we do some kind of predictability for demand? These will help us as a business. Because if we understand what has been their buying pattern, what we can at least predict demand for the future. It is very, very important. CRM, very important going forward. These are going to be things that are going to shift the business. Back end, I cannot agree more with Som and Sachin to say back end has to be there. You know, where things like, as we talked about before, ethics, if we talk about ethics, if we talk about social consciousness, if we talk about sustainability, they're tiny now, but this is going to grow rapidly because this is all the part of authenticity and trust.
Okay, so coming, I guess, to my last question, and you know, I guess every retailer that I've probably spoken to, he has this dilemma in his mind, and like I guess Henry Ford said, is stopping advertising to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. So that's a question every retailer has been asking, that in times like this, and especially post lockdown, when families are in this health crisis and people are thinking of saving themselves and, you know, the lives of all their near and dear ones, is it I guess, and I wouldn't say the word ethical, but is it even relevant for a jewelry brand to be spending on advertisement right now? Should he stay silent this Diwali or should he spend? So I guess anybody, Sachin, you want to go first this time?
Yeah, so Colin, I think first and foremost, अगर हम इसमें silent रहेंगे, वो सबसे बड़ी mistake होगी. ये समय है जो even Soumya ने resonate किया था कि this is the time to stay connected to the consumer. Now, connected to the consumer does not mean कि आप ad दें कि भाई इतने % off है, आगे brand खरीद लीजिए. So blatant advertising of saying come and buy my product should be postponed for a little bit. We have to step in the minds of consumer, but stay connected. And I would do both. I would preserve some bit of cash because you have to be watchful. जब market खुलेगा, उस समय हमारे पास resources होने चाहिए. And also, you know, it was mentioned by Shekhar that when things will revive, at that time resources should not be the issue. When it's time for good to go, you should be good to go. Lekin only those people will succeed who will stand for meaning, for authenticity, which as Vaishali mentioned here. And but most importantly, it's important to stay connected. Look at long term. Don't look at, you know, converting everything tomorrow morning. We've been in a long term business. Consumer is in for long term. अगर आप अपने brand को लेके थोड़ा एक, you know, offer लगाएंगे, or, you know, I think, you know, it might not be the best time. We have to hold on a little bit in terms of what our content has to be.
Okay. Vaishali, what do you feel? What should brands do?
Yeah, right now. See, there is right now where we are in a lockdown and semi-lockdown, and then there is life after this, after the lockdown. Right now, you can't go dark. I think there is enough and more research on this to say that brands who are going dark now, then just shutting down, are going to really suffer because consumers want to stay engaged with you. And as Sachin said, you don't give them promo offers, you don't start selling product. But it is about offering optimism, support, engaging with them. They are people. Engage with them as people and stop engaging with them as customers or consumers. That's now. And when the market reopens, be sure to create demand. And this is for the whole industry, because demand is not just going to walk into your store. If we don't create demand, we might lose the consumer when they are making new choices. Jewelry is in a very strong position, but we have to keep it that. In the new normal that we are talking about, when the consumer is making new choices, jewelry has to be integral part of their lives as it is today. And that will need demand creation. So I would say that you have to have resources. You have to put in marketing for discretionary, and even if jewelry is not completely discretionary, but marketing for our kinds of category is going to be essential to get back the demand and long-term build it, because there is a lot of potential.
Okay. So, what do you feel? What should jewelers do this Diwali?
I think, look, it should not be zero labor charges, come and buy. Let's not forget, our advertisement has been only that kind of thing. I think it's better to stop those. just present yourself as a good brand. I think you should keep talking to consumers. And there are ways of marketing. I'm sure, experts will say marketing is not about selling, you're marketing. So you should stay in the minds of consumers by spreading relevant messages, which will link your brand with what you are doing in the current situation. For this, people are going to buy. Let's not forget, there are people still having money, they will come and buy. You should be relevant to them. So targeted advertising and more about other activities in marketing, I wouldn't suggest that they should stay off. But staying off, I would suggest zero labor charges. Gold in Diwali in May 2020 prices. I think they are better stopped.
I agree with you. So 100%. For once and for all, let's stop looking at just promotions, short-term promotions.
So more about emotion, I guess,
yes,
and less about price.
Promotions, yes.
So just to summarize, I hope this was very insightful for our audience. Thank you, Soumya and Shekhar, for those wonderful presentations. Thank you, Sachin, Vaishali, Som, for your time and support always. And I'm sure you all are all going to do whatever it takes to keep the demand going, to keep all us manufacturers going, and keep all the retailers going in 2020. Having said that, I just wanted to end with a small video which we'll show to you all, and another message which I wanted to give to all our viewers is that while we've been doing these webinars and whatever it takes at GJEPC to keep the spirit going, we've also been trying extremely hard to get exports started on the diamond front, on the jewelry front. We've gotten Surat and Jaipur started a little bit partially, and we hopefully will get even Mumbai started very soon. So just keep the faith. I hope you all had a splendid time, and we'll just end with this video. So I would recommend that it's a very interesting video, which Sachin was kind enough to forward to me. And on that happy note.
But many thanks, Colin. I think you're really doing a great job and really getting all of us together most periodically. So great job. I think it's really important right now. And, we all really value it. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, you are welcome.
Yeah, enjoyed being on the panel, Colin. Thanks.
Yeah.
Dolly, will you play the video now?
Yeah.
When we first opened our doors.
Since 1926.
Since 1978. For 60 years.
For 75 years.
For over 80 years. In 90 years.
For over 100 years. Nationwide has been on your side.
Restaurants have always been there for you.
Nissan has been with you through thick and thin. We will do what we've always done.
Take care of people.
We're people.
People.
People. People. Family.
Family.
Family. Family.
Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Family. Families. Families.
Families. Even now. Especially now. Especially now.
Right now.
Now more than ever.
More than ever.
Today more than ever.
Today more than ever.
Times like this.
At times like difficult times.
In these troubled times.
Challenging times.
Trying times. In these times of uncertainty.
During this time of great uncertainty.
During these uncertain times.
During these uncertain times.
Uncertain times.
In uncertain times. Uncertain times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
This unprecedented moment in our history.
Time of social distancing. While things have slowed down. As we turn more inside. While the doors may be closed. While the distance between us has gotten bigger.
The more we stay apart, we still find ways to stay close. Even when we're apart.
Even if we can't stand closer than 6 feet.
We can all stay connected to work, school, and most importantly, to each other.
There's still ways to touch each other.
All without leaving the comfort and safety of your home. Without leaving the safety of your home.
From home.
Home.
Your home.
At home.
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 Home. Home. Home. Home.
Home. Home. That's the key.
Buick and GMC are here to help. Con Edison is here to help.
Here to help.
Our teams are here.
We are here.
We're here.
We're here.
Here for you.
Here for you. We're here for you.
We're here for you.
We are here for you. We're here for you.
We are here for you. We'll be here for you.
Bunnings is here for you.
We're still here for you.
We're with you. We're part of your community.
So you can trust us.
You can count on us.
And we'll get through this. Together.
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 Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Okay, so on that happy note, bye everyone, and thank you once again. And like I guess they said, we'll get through this together. Bye.